Welcome to the Apex Esports League Formula Rookie Cups. We're back again for the first round of 2021 after our little break over the Christmas period. So hope everyone's had a great holiday over the break of the 2 weeks. So we are starting tonight with Project Cars 2 for PS4, and these are the Formula Rookies. It is the Formula Forward class. Tonight we have round 1 and we are at Brands Hatch. So we have a 2-session round tonight. First, we're heading off for a 15-minute practice with weather clear. Qualifying session is 15 minutes. Weather is also clear. The first race, being the sprint race, is 10 laps. Weather is clear with no mandatory pit. Then we'll head off for a 9-minute break for the next session, and we'll be heading into a 15-minute qualifier, weather light cloud. Then the main race is 20 laps, weather clear, and there is a mandatory pit. So heading over into pit lane now, and we have 12 cars out on the grid. So it should make it quite interesting on Brands Hatch with 12 cars heading around the quite technical track with some very nice, fast, tricky corners. Turn 1 being a very particular corner for a lot of incidents. And the series is set up for custom setups. The drivers do have full control over setting up their cars, and they are quite fun to tune these cars. Tiniest little adjustments can affect greatly in these cars. A good way to actually learn how to adjust the tuning mechanics of Project Cars 2. And we have a few new debuts in Apex Esports League tonight. We can actually see cars in pit lane, which is good. Usually we get just a blank wall. So we have Rocket Rod debuting with us tonight. Also, Jeffrey's 1109. He's in the light blue number 36. Welcome aboard. And our other new starter, let's see if I can find them. The DG0787 is also debuting with us tonight. I think we are missing someone else here that I haven't covered. There is another, but they haven't made it in yet. Hopefully they can join in for the session later on. And you will see some familiar names. Simo Simsel in the blue car number 99. Bertie 1035 in the red and green. He's a regular racer with us. And of course the Zero, we did miss him for the last few rounds at the end of the year. And he's back with us, starting off in the Formula Rookies. Demon FX, and usually same colour car for most of the series. That's quite easy if him picking yellow. So he's in car number 3. We've just had Jeffrey's run off track. He's just had his lap time invalidated. And over to Strasbourg. He debuted in our final series at the end of last year. And he was doing some great performance. It'll be interesting to see how he goes in the Formula Rookies tonight. Also a regular Jana 07. He's in blue and black. And Gallon 350, another regular. He's in matching team colours with Jana. Car number 5, and over to Sami in the race in green of number 11. What else have we missed going down the list as we're starting to get times on the board? Santi in the white and yellow car, just heading on to the last turn. And he's also a regular racer with us as well. So opening time starting to come through. 1:48 first lap for Jana. Let's see if we can get on board with someone for a quick lap. Here we go. We've got someone joining. Looks like a bit of a lag skip. Yes, Disfigured Soul. So here's our other debut tonight, so welcome aboard Disfigured Soul. He is in white and orange car number 62. So that's now 13 cars. It's going interesting with an almost full grid out at Brands Hatch. Let's see if we can get on. He's almost finishing up a lap. He's into first few turns. See if we can jump on board with someone for a lap. Zero is halfway through a lap at the moment. Back end of Brands Hatch. He's really pushing that car at the moment. He's on a very good lap at the moment. Jump on board with him now and be able to see what it's like for a full lap around Brands Hatch. So final turn, it's a big long bend onto pit straight. He's got a good run on there. He will have a good speed coming into turn one. You've got to stay out very wide, and it's on a crest. A lot of drivers tend to miss the apex on that one and end up out into that kitty litter. Or they turn in too early and then end up, oh, that's cost him potentially a little bit of time. He's recovered that quite nicely. Nice technical turn. You can get flat out all the way through here. There's a slight downshift and I'll let the engine brake it in and then power on through up the hill. These things do lose a fair bit of power going uphill. So having the fuel loads and also the aero set up for the cars will be very crucial to getting every bit of time you can out of these cars. So not too many spots with heavy braking here, it's just a lot of just backing off that throttle. And with these cars being the open wheelers, it's all about throttle control with these cars. They are very unforgiving if you do have a lead foot and just keep going. You need to use that throttle to let it steer through the corner. You can usually launch right down into the curb for that corner. You could see a nice tyre mark that had locked up through it. Oh, and he's gone broad. I'm not sure who that was in the front. That was Giant. We've just had another car join, so Kakadu has now come on. That is a lap around Brands Hatch with a 0. I'll try and familiarise with Kakadu's car. Oh, he's just disconnected. Kakadu is a familiar face around Apex eSports League. Gallon 350 is coming in with the quickest time so far. A lot of slip in that car going around turn one. And the big thing with the custom setups for these cars with the tiniest settings actually making a difference on these cars. Tyre pressures are very crucial for these cars. They're ensuring you have as much grip onto those tyres as you're going around the corners, as the wheelbase does tend to make them want to lift on some of the curvatures of the track, and you can't make them go too low in ride height either, as you will end up just scraping those cars over most of the bumps. Oh, and that potentially could have invalidated his time. It hasn't invalidated it. He was on for a flying lap before just going wide out into that back end of the track. Oh, that was very tight. I think that's Bertie just ahead. Bertie yet to get a time on the board. Yes, that's Bertie's car. He's just let Gallon get around him. And then 0 is only 0.227 of a second off the pace from Gallon's car. Gallon's just gone out wide and big hit into the wall. He's brought that car back in. Kakadu has rejoined. There he is in the bright orange number 40. He's getting out. That's 14 on the field. This is quite interesting now. Check some of our debuters. Jeffries coming in with a 141.367. A bit of pace difference between from fourth beyond. So it's pretty tight between Gallen and Azuro. Santi's 2 seconds further off the pace. I'm not sure if any setups are being shared between drivers at all. Santi doing quite well with the car at the moment. If you need to seeing our streams, be sure to hit that follow button so you get notified when we go live. This will be on every Thursday night at 7:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So it's a 5-round series. And hitting that rev limiter as he was going around that bend. Out of our 5 rounds. For round 2 we head to the Nürburgring GP. Round 3 we're at Zolder. Round 4 is the Red Bull Ring GP, and then the final round we have Monza GP. And I was just discussing with the drivers, I'm pretty sure there is a wet race in amongst it. So it should make for some interesting driving. And then a little bit different to a lot of the other series, we haven't done open wheels yet. In these cars you cannot exchange paint, so interlocking these wheels will see a car end up on their roof quite quickly. You see some pretty big incidents with cars jumping over other cars. Birdie's come through for time on the board, 4.5 seconds off the pace. The Zeros come through half a second quicker than Gallen's time. Santi still sits in about third. Our debut Jeffries is sitting in fourth. Sami's doing quite well with a 5th quickest time. We'll go through and look out for our other new starters. Oh, out of focus shot. That's. Let's see if the camera will catch up with DG. Not sure what's going on there. Oh, there he is. He'd gone off track by the looks. Hasn't had his time validated, so I'm not sure what was going on. DG coming through for 148. Sigurd Sol of 150. Strasbourg's just run off track. He just had his time validated. Oh, a little bit of lag going on with Kakadu's car by the looks of things. Rocket Rod sitting off to the side, he gets off into the track. He brings that car back in. Azuro doing very well with the 137.330. I think we should probably be able to see in qualifying pretty close to a 137 flat. Game time started at 9 AM. Weather conditions are clear. The qualifying session is 10 AM. Track temperatures should increase. Weather is also clear, and then for the sprint race at game time 11 AM, weather clear. We should see some pretty good race pace going on for that sprint race. Qualifying for the second session, weather is light cloud at game time 1 PM, so it could be a little bit slower lap times being set in the qualifying. Effects 3.7 seconds off pace from a 0 so far. So there's only 2 cars in the 137 bracket, followed by Santi for 139. We have a couple 140s, Sami and Jeffries. Then in the 141 bracket, we've got Demon Effects, Gina 07 and Bertie. And then we have Strasbourg and Simo Simsel in the 143s. I don't think we've checked out Simo's car. So blue number 99. Ooh, it looked like he may have just scraped the wall coming through the pits. And it's a very risky spot. Oh, that pit exit coming out with the cars going flat out on that outside and then looking to bring the car into that apex is exactly where that exit for that pit is. It's going to be very interesting come to the second race in tonight's round with their mandatory pits, especially some differences in these times. There's going to be a fair bit of spread amongst the track. Last season we saw some very tight races where they were all finishing pretty much one after the other. A little bit of difference so far with the cars. And then that is practice session complete. 90 seconds remain for drivers to get their last times done. Gallen will have time to get his through. So Kakadoo's come up in tackle reclaimed a 138, so 1.6 seconds off. Gallen still half a second off pace from a 0. Not sure if he's going to be able to get this in this final lap. He's brought it into the pits. A few cars still out on the track getting these last laps done. Sounds like that car's... I'm not sure if that's AI just driving that car. It seems to be cruising along pretty casually. And that should be finished for him. So Rocket Rod to get a time on the board. There's a bit of debris in the pit lane there. Someone's taken a hit. G'day Weaver, thanks for joining us, mate. I hope you're recovering well. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Missing you out on track. Not sure if that's AI also driving for DG. But practice session should be concluding. I can't see the timer. Something weird going on. Not sure what's going on with Santi's car. Hopefully we haven't had a server freeze. That could potentially be what's going on right now. If Santi can return to the pits at least, it should kick us through. Something very odd going on. We may have to restart the session. It'd be good to see you in the V8s then weaving. Should be some good fun. Not sure what's going on. Santi has frozen. Countdown has frozen as well. We may have to drop out and just see what's going on with the drivers in the session, whether they've actually gone through. Both my consoles aren't seeing as they are going through. We'll be back momentarily and see what the game is doing. And it finally caught back up, so we have a 0143 coming through with the quickest time. Sector times, our first four pretty tight in the 137s. There's a bit of time difference in Sector 2 for our top drivers in that. Otherwise, the biggest variance in time is Sector 1. So that first big corner and also those next two very technical corners is where most time can usually be made up. If you can get a nice golden line through there, you will be set to be able to easily claim a couple of seconds off your lap. And this is qualifying now. Drivers will have to make sure they have a pit limiter set, or at least remember to hit that button. If they don't hit that button and speed in the pits, they will see themselves with a grid place penalty. It is a common mistake, and I'm usually pretty bad at forgetting to hit that button. Oh, this figured run wide. Have we lost Santi? Yes, we have lost Santi. Hopefully he can join back in. Not sure what was going on. Let's see if we... I'll bring up if anyone's disconnected. He hasn't disconnected, so I'm not sure what's going on. Oh no, and speaking of grid place penalties, Gallon 350 just copped on. He's disappointed in himself that he's brought that car straight back in. And we'll bring up the timings and see what he's taken. So yes, so one grid place, so he didn't speed too high. There he goes, back on track. Hopefully remembering to hit that pit limiter button. He doesn't want to see himself with another grid place penalty. Kakadu really pushing this Formula forward quite early on. This is his hot lap coming on now. Good run on into the last corner. And they do only get up to the fourth gear. So they top out pretty early on. There's already a few cones taken out. It looks like we've got Santi joining in, I think. Yes, Santi has made it back in. Not sure if it's kicked him out or if he disconnected completely. He's back in, that is good. So 14 cars on the grid. Hopefully no more issues going forward in qualifying, as that will see him miss out on the race start. If you join us for the chat, don't forget to use those sound effect controls, have some fun with the stream. Let us know who you think is going to take pole position, who will win the first race. Well, it was pretty tight between Gallon and Azuro. Oh, I think we've just seen Santi drop out again. He's definitely having some technical issues. These cars do not like the racing curbs either. They do tend to want to spin out a fair bit. They're only little tyres, so they do slip a fair bit. Getting on the throttle too early through those corners and whilst on the curbs does tend to put them into a spin. With some nice throttle control, these cars do nicely slide through a lot of fast bends. And you can throw them through some very tight technical corners. They're a lot of fun to drive. And Zero's come through with quickest time. He's taken some damage to that car already. 139 for an opening lap. We did see him down into a 137.3. Less than a couple of seconds off his practice pace, and that's with his first cold lap, so that is pretty good timing. It's also the same for Kakadu and Demon Effects as well. saw Kakadu in those final laps get up in towards the top few. Demon Effects using that full section of the track, a nice line. 139.9 is pretty good pace for an opening lap as well. And don't forget to check out our social media links down below. You can head over to our Facebook page. All our results and standings and any race incident reports get all posted onto there, so you can keep up to date with all our drivers in our series. And if you want to get involved in any of our races, you can head over from a link from there and join our Facebook group, and I'll have all our details for getting invited into the lobbies and joining in on the series. So there are a few spots empty for this in this series. So Zero's just come through and improved his time by another second, so he's come through with a 1:38. Gallen's sitting up in 4th position. Oh, he's just been pushed down to 5th. He does need to come through with a very good qualifying time now to compensate for that one grid place. Demon Effects coming through with a 1:38.38. And we've just got Santi trying to reconnect again. Hopefully it stays this time. Oh, some weird things going on. That might just be him changing setups. Let's see. Quite a drop coming out of the garage as well. That's probably why we were seeing a bit of debris on the pit lane. Check out our debuts, how they are doing. Jeffrey's 11:09 coming in for 1:40. And GG is 0787, opening lap of 1:45. Rocket Rod, we didn't see him set a time on the board for practice. He's come through for 1:48 for his opening lap. Oh, a bit of a slip. Oh, he's made some wall contact. And the tiniest bits of wall contact as well will affect the suspension of these things pretty quickly. We don't have any panels to be able to compensate for a hit. And we've just had Gallen come through with a 1:37.224. We're getting close to being able to set a 1:37 flat. Gallen needs to set a pole position time now so that he'll at least be pushed only back into 2nd position. Demon Effects also getting in the 1:37 mark. Becoming some fierce competition in this qualifying session. He was, I think, sitting around 5th in the practice from memory. Kakadu still up towards the top. And a Zero yet to see if he can get into that 1:37 mark. He's done a 1:37. He set a 1:37.3 last time. Can he do that one again? And then shave off another 100th of a second. And he would beat the fastest time so far. Oh, that car's broad going into that turn. That was a nice drift by a Zero. I think that put him a little bit off pace for those following corners though. Nice and wide coming into that bend. So, oh, we've had Santi also take a grid place penalty. And he's sped in the pits. I don't know if we can see the full list. I've got to scroll down. Yes, he's only taken 1 grid place. He'll also need to do what Gallen's done, set a very strong time here to compensate for that 1 place. So far, Demon Effects in, starting from position 2, but if it stays as it is, that grid place penalty will see him start at the front. Gallon setting on 137.2 is probably a safe time to have already come through and set a time for. I think it'll be pretty hard done to try and get much better than around that 137 flat mark. We had a little bit of time difference. It was all the zeros coming. Oh, that is tight. 0.120 difference between a 0 and Gallon now. It's going to be some fierce, tight racing between these two. Demon Effects also only 0.414 of a second difference. Our first three, less than half a second between them. Sami doing well in the A139. Oh, and he's run wide. You could hear that car get onto the rev limiter. If it was wrong gear going to that corner. That's also the other thing with these as well. Downshifting too high, these things will just spin. They just lock up and spin. And then we... Oh, disfigured soul? No. It looked like we may have had someone just rejoin back in, I wasn't sure. Santi having issues, but he is still out on track, so that's fine. We haven't lost anyone else. Hopefully should have all 14 go through to the sprint race. And Disfigured Soul, whose first race with us will be tonight. Oh, we got two cars wide. Not sure who's in that other blue car. I think that might be Simo's car. Yes, I think it was Simo's car. Oh, that Gallon, yeah, I was going to say that was a very fast turn in. Gallon's really pushing that car at the moment. Yeah, he's got no fuel load left on this car. He cannot do another lap. Will he improve his time? Yes, he does. Goes from 3.7224 to a 1.17. That's not going to help him too much, I don't think, with only 2 minutes remaining. But it'll at least probably get to let him still start from position 2. So far, we'll be seeing a 0 start from pole position. There's 2.26 of a second difference in time. Demon Effects now half a second after Gallon, shaving off another 100th of a second off his lap time. And Santi also with a grid placement. Well, nice drift right back onto the racing line. That was a very nice turn by Santi. I should probably see him actually get a pretty good lap if he can keep this car going. Get another sort of nice slide going up that hill. From the trackside camera, you don't quite see just how much of an incline that little hill is. And it's actually quite steep initially, and then flattens out pretty quick. There is a crest. These cars too tend to actually bottom out a bit. I think that's Demon Effects' car off to the side of the track there. Santi doing very well at the moment. Flat out in this thing. A fair bit of debris on the track. Oh, this almost cost him. He almost ran away. He's running quite a heavy load of fuel as well. The car will stick quite well. The uphill bits will cost him with that little amount of fuel load. It improved. No, it doesn't tell us, unfortunately. I'll be able to see in here and just see if he did make an improvement. Last lap 1:30. Yes, that was his fastest lap. He's his grid place penalty will see him drop down at this stage. With only 7 seconds remaining, Strasbourg will move up into 7th position. Gallen and Azuro in. Qualifying is complete. Last laps to be done now. Azuro will move up in place of Gallen and be starting from the front, unless our current drivers can sneak in a pole position, stealing time on this last lap. Kakadu's pretty flat out. Ooh, broad and tightens that thing back in just in time. It should be a good lap here. Doesn't improve it. There's Bertie. Where is he at the moment? Yeah, he's got enough time to be able to finish in this lap with a couple more cars coming to Simo Simsel and Santi also wrapping up this last lap. I don't think Santi will be able to get another lap in. Can Bertie improve his time? Currently 1:45.74. Doesn't improve it. And then we have qualifying for the opening round. We have Gallen 350 setting the quickest time, but unfortunately a grid place penalty pushes him to start back in position 2. Azuro moves up, taking pole position. So we'll be starting at the front of the grid, and then also followed by Demon Effects, Kakadu, Sami, Jeffrey, Santi, Strasbourg, Jana, Bertie, Simo Simsel, DG, Disfigured Soul, and Rocket Rod. So, I'm sorry, in that as well, Santi drops down to position 8, Strasbourg now starting in position 7. So very tight times up the front. So our first 3, only half a second difference. It'll be some very fierce competition between Demon Effects, Azuro and Gallen. But you cannot get up and close too much with these cars, as you only have suspension and tyres to rub with, and it does not bode well for these cars. So we'll be heading over into the ready up screen for the race. I'm just going to make sure I keep track of who we've had qualifying, so I can give them their points. Drivers receive points in the series for qualifying position as well as race position, and then there is also 5 bonus points up for grabs for the fastest lap set in the race. They're still going to probably keep zooming in. Hopefully we get a good view for the start of the race. And turn 1 at Brands Hatch is always interesting for the start of the race. There's probably going to be a few incidents as cars try and make their race room and slip in behind each other. Going 2 or 3 wide in that turn does not usually go well. Is on the left side, he's in the green car. So he starts on the racing line. If Gallen gets a really good jump start here, he could get ahead of Azuro quite quickly and then force him into a different line. But if he doesn't get clear enough, he's going to actually have to shave off a bit of speed, as he's not going to have a very good line for that first turn. Drivers here having to make sure they reload their setups from their qualifying setup so that they have the correct amount of fuel to get through the race. And just compare the difference in fuel loads between Azuro and Gallen. Pretty similar. There we go, about to go green. And away we go, and it's a good start for Gallen, and also Kakadu getting off to a nice start. Gallen just tucks ahead of Azuro. Azuro looking for that inside line, but also Kakadu's moving up for another inside. It looks like a pretty clean turn 1, but then They need to get on the anchors pretty hard coming up into turn 3. And nice and tidy so far. Plenty of room between all the cars. Looks like Sami and Santi, yeah, it is Sami and Santi were too wide going through the corner. No incidents so far. A good clean start to the opening race. Zero looking to get past Gallon. Oh, and he's on the outside line. He gets around. It's going to be a good position for a Zero now. He's tucked back in, sitting in the middle of Kakadu and Gallon. Oh, Gallon's dropped off another position to Kakadu now. Demon Effects just swings out, getting out of that slipstream from Gallon's car. Gallon seems to be slipping back quite quickly. Not sure if it is fuel loads that we are looking at his difference here. No, very similar. Oh, he's side by side. Nearly, oh, looks like they may have just scraped a bit of tyre between the two. And then Kakadu's just ran that back tyre off on the right side. A bit of debris scattered out onto the track. Oh, and there is not much room for error now. Too wide coming up onto pit straight. One of these are going to have to own track position coming into turn 1, otherwise it's going to be chaos for them. Gallon just scrapes in, forcing a slightly different line for Kakadu, but it was a much faster line for Kakadu. He locked it up into the next turn. He came in a lot faster than what Gallon was. That lockup didn't cost him any time. He's managed to keep that position. Gallon is still sitting very tight right behind Kakadu. Zero starting to slip away a little bit. Demon Effects starting to catch up on Gallon. Oh, and Santi's just run off wide. And he's made wall contact. That's going to be disastrous. He's come back on track, and then Sami's just had to go around, followed by Jeffries. Oh, as Jeffries nearly gets made. He could have been bounced straight up over the wheels of his car. That would not have done well. Ooh, looked like a little bit of a nudge there. Some fierce competition. Oh, and is that Santi that's just spun? I don't know if that may have just been lag that we're seeing there, as the car recovered quite quickly. Simo's in the pits. I'm not sure if he's had to serve a penalty or not. For lap 2 this quick, and there's no damage showing, no scrapes, so ooh, cold tyres. By the look of it, they must have changed his tyres. He may have actually had some repairs done. Demon Effects honing in on Gallon. Zero is starting to slip away from Kakadu. He's 1.8 seconds difference now. Lap 3, and there's already 2 seconds lead. Zero is getting away quite quickly without much pressure on him. He's going to be able to further that lead if that keeps up. And Bertie's just taken a time penalty. And we have Demon Effects going for an inside pass going up the hill. I don't think it's going to be enough. Gallon's going to possibly hold the line. Gallon's car just doesn't seem to have some good top pace going on at the moment. Not sure if it's some car setup that is being affected just as to why he's not getting that speed. He had that nice good getaway at the start of the race, but these other cars are just really picking up more pace than his car at the moment. Demon Effects will still be feeling some pressure from Gallon. He's sitting right on his tail. There is not much between the two. And our race leader, quite a fair way, starting to catch up with some laps cars. Not sure who's in that one. Is that Simo? It's Simo's car. We did see him have to go in the pits. He may have been serving a drive-through penalty potentially. If he jumped that start early, that will see him have to serve that pit penalty. car's looking good otherwise, so I don't think he's had to bring it in for an incident. We just saw some cars heading out. Strasbourg obviously just getting some repairs. And it's safe time to be exiting. That is quite lucky. Oh, a big broad slide by... Who is that? Is that DJ? Yes, DG's car. Just a big broad slide in turn 1. Where is he gone? He's brought that car back out, luckily. Rocket Rod is... Where is he sitting at the moment? My times on my board has gone a bit skew at the moment. They are jumping around a bit, so him and Disfigured Soul. Kakadu's taken a time penalty as well, and he's 4 seconds behind. Yeah, that's right, Weaven. There's more mistakes can cost big time in these cars. If you miss out on getting a good line through a corner, that exit speed in these cars, you will lose out on that next straight. Especially with Brands Hatch, you have to get these corners perfect to get a very golden lap. Jeffries catching up on Birdie. Birdie's just put that left side off the track. Jeffries darting side to side, looking to get around Bertie. He's tucked that car back in. It's very difficult to navigate turn 1 from an inside line. So very different lines taken by the two. Much faster line by Jeffries. He brings that in nicely, slingshots that back around. Not enough to get around Birdie. Birdie is still in the way. Jeffries doing some great driving here. He's got Birdie set in his sights. He's really pushing this car at the moment. So lap 5 at the moment. And there's a bit of spacing going on now. Azuro's now leading the race by 5 seconds. So these cars will be very interesting for driver ability. Oh, they nearly could have pushed him out. He's just recovered. It's going to put him into a big spin here. That's a huge mistake. He was so close to getting past Birdie, and he's just put that into the wall. He's got that car out and around. Sami just gets around cleanly. A few time penalties, a few cars cutting corners at the moment. Gallen and Kakadu are side by side. Oh, Kakadu cuts the corner in turn 1, but that's going to put him out into a big broad one. Then Gallen ducks to the inside line, potentially getting ready for a big broad slide by Kakadu. He doesn't want to have a car slide out in front of him and then make contact. That would end his race. He's very tight, but having to be that a little bit cautious. We'll have a look and just see the time difference. There's only 1 second penalty on Kakadu with 4 laps remaining. As long as Gallen sits within a second of Kakadu. I don't think at this rate, unless there's a big mistake made by Azuro, I think he's pretty safe to have claimed victory at this stage of the race. It'll take a lot for Kakadu to catch up. And Kakadu just breaking that slipstream from Gallen, trying to shave that off. Really do need that for these cars, as there's not a lot of top speed in these things. You need to make up for slipstream to try and get that extra speed to catch up. And they do tend to catch up pretty quickly. Without front and rear spoilers, that downforce can actually be gone as well, so that is another thing to be cautious of when you do try and go for a slingshot around another car. You're going to be coming into that corner a lot quicker than you would normally be doing, and then you've got to be prepared to be able to get through it. And if your tyre pressures aren't up to scratch, that rear bar will let those tyres just flip right out. I think at this rate, going into 20 laps for the main race is going to be some pretty exciting, fierce battles going on between our drivers. A bit of space going on now between Gallen and Kakadu. Demon Effects a couple of seconds behind Gallen. 3 laps left, he could still potentially catch up to these two, especially if they're going to keep battling it out. They could do themselves out and then allow Demon to scrape on through. I think it was something that we saw go for that slide and made a good recovery early on in the race. So he's doing very well, sitting in 5th position considering that. Yeah, weave-in tyre pressure is a big thing with these. It makes a whole load of difference. To try and get that extra contact by dropping those tyre pressures really affects these cars' ability to be able to turn in. So it's really dependent on your driving style for these cars. If you can feel comfortable with a little bit of slip in these cars, you can get away with some much higher tyre pressures and be able to really throw the cars through some very fast, tight technical corners. They're very much like a go-kart. It's all about throttle control for these. And Bertie sitting back in 7th position at the moment. He's got a time second penalty as well. Oh, we've just had someone go off and come back on track. Not sure who that is. That's Gina. Can he flip this car around quickly in time? He hasn't taken any damage, I don't think. Cost him a couple of positions. Something that moves up into position 7. Check out the rest of our debuts. The Dreffer is doing well before, seeing him hunt down Bertie. Oh, then we saw him slip out and make contact with that nose cone into the wall. I'm going to check in with our race leader, who's just running a race on his own at the moment with nearly 7 seconds lead over position 2. Especially with a 1 second penalty for Kakadu, that's just furthering that lead even more. A brilliant race by Azura at the moment. Lap 9, so he'll be coming up to last lap. Gallen and Kakadu still not finished trying to fight for position 2. With only 2 laps remaining, Gallen may just want to take it relatively easy and just sit hot on Kakadu's tail and allow that time penalty infringement to steal that position away from him. It's not worth getting into an accident, risking a tricky pass, but he gets around anyway. Kakadu's not letting up on him though. Oh, he's side to side, making himself known. Being a nuisance in those mirrors, darting side to side. Demon Effects 5 seconds behind these guys, hasn't been able to reclaim that ground on these two just up ahead of him. Double check to see what time penalties are. Still sitting at 1 second. Yes, Kakadu has slipped back now. Gallen can probably sit pretty safe in that position. For the final lap, there's a fair bit of spacing between most of the drivers now. Zero does have some traffic coming up ahead. Blue flags will be shown. Oh, there's a car that is there missing that rear cow. You can see the engine, not sure whose car that was. Zero gets around, jump on board for a victory lap with a Zero, while the rest of the field is pretty quiet. There's only 1.5 litres of fuel remaining. This thing is going to be pretty light. It's 2.5 seconds off his fastest lap. We'll just have a look and see what his best lap is. So it's 1:37.833. I think that's the fastest lap of the race. So I'm not sure if the Zeros is taking it a fair bit easy, as he did have 7-second lead initially, and then Gallon is starting to close into 3.2. I'm not sure if it's a bit of toying or just taking it easy and conserving fuel as well. He does not want to cost himself the race by a mistake on that last lap, or by running out of fuel. Yeah, I think it was more a fuel conservation issue here. There's only 1 litre remaining. But he has done it. Here he goes across the line, winning the opening race for the Formula Rookie Cup. Well done, Azero. Oh, Demon Effects in second. Gallon's had an incident. He's dropped back. The Demon Effects takes second position. Kakadu into third. Oh no, Gallon reclaims third position by way of time penalty, so he still finds himself on the podium. Sunti crosses the line in 5th position. And here comes Bertie in 6th. I think he's got a time penalty, so Sami will jump up into 6th. That moves Bertie down into 7th. Well done, Sami, taking 6th position. Giant coming up behind into 8th. Jeffries will have time. There's just over a minute to get this last lap done. And good drive for Jeffries for his debut race with us tonight. Welcome aboard. 9th position, DG. He's lost front and rear cows. That's right, or even Demon from the clouds for second. Would have been interesting to see what happened there. Gallon rounded up to only 3 seconds behind Azura. He was catching in really quick. Rocket Rod in 11th position. I don't know if he's crossed the line yet. Where is he on this? It's currently a yellow flag in Sector 2. And there we have it. Results for the opening round of the Apex Esports League Formula Rookie Cup. A 0-143 taking gold, the top of the podium for that opening race. Demon Effects taking second. Gallon 350 stealing away that podium position for third by way of time second penalty. So it's 2-second penalty costing Kakadu a spot on the podium. And then we have followed through is Kakadu in 4th, Sunti in 5th, Sami in 6th, Bertie in 7th, Gina in 8th, Jeffries in 9th, we have DG in 10th, Rocket Rod in 11th, Simo Simzel in 12th, Strasbourg in 13th, and Disfigured Soul in 14th. He did not finish, so on lap 8, so he must have retired into the pits for that. Not sure what's going on, but we'll check that in the replays. Don't think there's too many incidents, just more racing issues going on for that. It was a very clean start to the race for this series, so we'll be heading off into a 9-minute break now for the drivers to refresh, ready for round 2. Then we head off into a 15-minute qualifying session, and then 20 laps for the main race of round 1. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. And we are back for session 2. We just saw a Zero take a great win for the opening round. We didn't get to have a look at the track as we loaded up. This one loads actually pretty quick for Brands Hatch. So there is 3.9 Ks for the track with 9 turns, and this session game time is 1 PM and the weather is light cloud. Possibly see some slightly slower qualifying times for this session. Race pace will probably be just about the same. We've got 13. Who have we lost? Trying to figure out who we have lost from the session. Pretty exciting finish to the first round, and finally just talking to the drivers in the lobby just before, Gallon got caught up behind some traffic, so the drivers do jump in a party and actually discuss and talk to each other to try and help do some good clean driving, getting around, and by the time he caught up and then actually said which way he was going, he'd already moved over but was on the wrong side, so actually got caught up in traffic, allowing Demon and Kakadu to get around. But Gallon reclaimed that podium in the end after that little incident by way of Kakadu having a 2-second time penalty. I'll bring up some of this stuff and see if anyone has disconnected. They may have dropped out of the lobby mid going into this. Zero pushing this car quite quickly already. So he's running about 8 litres of fuel. I think we may be missing Disfigured Soul. Yes, that is who we are missing. I'm not sure if that was Disfigured Soul had DNF at the end of that I will bring. The Disfigured Soul did not finish, so it was on lap 8, so I have disconnected. Hopefully he can join back in later. Could expect one of our other regular drivers from most of our other series, T-Rex as well, he may be joining. He jumped into the lobby before we head off into the practice for session 1. As I said, he should hopefully be back and be able to make it for the second session. Demon Effects doing some great driving, really trying to close in on Gallon and Kakadu's battle. I was joking that he had front row seats to the battles going on between the two. I think the incident we had with Jeffries and Bertie, there was a little bit of a lag spike going on. We were mentioning that we noticed a bit going on with Bertie. There was some jumps. Still not sure what went on at the end of the practice session with Sunty's car getting stuck. I think that was just Project Car's servers causing issues. And if you're joining us for the stream and you haven't yet hit that follow button, be sure to do so. Appreciate the support. And then you'll be notified when we go live as well. Zero coming in with a cold lap of 1:38. That is pretty tight. Army's just had his lap time invalidated at the moment. just exceeded track limits. Kakadu's come through with a 139. Something's done well with a 140. There's a bit of debris coming into that first turns. Someone's ran wide already. A few tyre marks where someone's locked up into the corner as well. Doing effects in the 140s for an opening lap. That is a nice time indeed. Birdie at 141. Oh, a lot of understeer coming into that corner, but he pulls that around nicely. Simo's just exceeded track limits and had his time invalidated as well. China has done a 142. Jeffrey so far with a 143. Thanks for hitting that follow button, Manu. Appreciate his support. Don't forget, if you have PS4 and Project Cars 2 and want to get involved in any of our races, head to our Facebook page. That will have a link there to head over to our Facebook group, and you can join our private group that has all our events. We also do have the Apex eSports League Android app, so if you don't have Facebook and you do have an Android phone, you can actually easily keep up to date for all events. Otherwise, we'll try and organise to have some details in some other places for those that aren't on Facebook as well. Our YouTube link is where we store all our past broadcasts. They are all saved over there, so if there's any of the other series you want to flick back and watch through, you can do so over on YouTube. Gallon's come through with a 136.7. That is very tight. We saw 137s in the first session. I was hoping to see a 137 flat. I'm not expecting such a good time. That was blistering. Gallon is running that car very light. And gearing seems to be a little bit different too, so he may have done a bit of tuning with that car. We did notice a fair bit at the start of the race. Gallon was losing a lot of speed on some of the straights. And the cars seemed to have that little bit more power to get around. And Gallon lost the opportunity for a pole position start by getting a grid place penalty in the first session. So that saw a 0 start from pole. But then Gallon did get a good start and got ahead of a 0 and got a good track position for that first corner. But then a 0 quickly rounded him up and started to run a race on his own by getting ahead by 7 seconds by nearly 4th or 5th lap. So it was very fast pace. So maybe a little bit different if we can see Gallon actually start from pole and get another good jump start that could get that advantage without him having to sort of fight and defend too much, and then start streaking ahead. We saw Demon Effects do very well in the qualifying as well. There was some late times being pushed back by Kakadu that saw him start a little bit further back on the grid. Kakadu is just off the side there. He's just ran off track. I don't think he's taken any damage. Oh, he's run off wide again. His tyres probably feeling a little bit gritty after going off into the dirt. And a 0 coming in from 137.380. I think we saw 137.2 for his qualifying time last session. Conti doing well with 139s. A lot better pace across the board for all the drivers at the moment compared to first session. Starting to get the hang of these cars. It was a very good tidy race for race 1 of round 1 tonight. And seeing some good performance from our debut drivers as well. And unfortunately we haven't seen Disfigured Soul come across into session 2. Oh, a little bit of issues. Sami's gone off, and I think that's a Zero that's just coming up right behind Sami. Zero is just passing him now on the straight before the final turns. Oh, right up on that curb. Oh, they've made contact together, and that's just pushed Sami into the wall. That's going to invalidate a Zero's time as well for making contact. And the driver's only just talking about incidents like that occurring, as a lot of these guys drive go-karts as well, and they're mentioning that they've done taps as well at quite high speeds where they've used the slipstream and then just didn't realise just how quickly they've caught up and then needed that extra space for braking. That's exactly what happened to a Zero there. These cars, slipstream is a big advantage. You really need to use it, but then you have to be prepared for the fact that you are at a speed much quicker than what the car would normally be capable of reaching on its own on a straight where you are just taking full-blown air at the front. So having to suddenly brake a lot quicker can potentially put you in a very dangerous position. Oh, on the rev limiter going down in those corners. They're using some engine braking. You do need to be cautious with these as well. They can put the cars into a spin. Oh, you can hear that cackling as it goes through. That is brilliant. Demon doing well in the 137s as well. So there's 4 cars now in the 137 mark. Only 1.3 seconds separating our first 4. Oh, a little bit of a lag spike. Could that be someone joining the session? Hopefully that is the case. Demon Effects bouncing that car up over the curb. Nice slide in onto that curb, bringing that car back into the line. This is going to be a very good lap for Demon Effects. I think we're going to see an improvement here. Nice slide in that rear as he comes onto the final turn on the pitch straight. Does he improve a 137.782? No, he doesn't improve. What does he set there? He's a couple hundredths of a second off. That is very close. And Kakadu also doing well, 1.3 seconds off the pace. I think that is one golden lap that Gallon has set with a 136.6. That would be incredibly tough to try and beat. Oh, that's Broad. I think that's Gina's car. No, who's that? It's Gallon's car. Yes, he's brought it back around. That's a big broad slide. So let's see what Gallon's last lap was, at 1:48. So I'm not sure if he's brought that back into the pits. He may be out on cold tyres at the moment. Jeffrey is just head out of the pits. And as there is a mandatory pit for this, and a lot of cars are actually sharing team colours, they will be needing to ensure they're taking out that sign and another. Jeffrey having no respect for those sponsorships on the side of the track. Hopefully that hasn't done any damage to his car. 30 just going off track, and again as he's trying to get this car back under control. So there's a yellow flag at the moment. That's just been gone away, and that was for the start of Sector 3. Not sure what was going on. There's some debris there on the tracks. He's going to have to be cautious coming on. It could be a little bit slippery. fair bit of glistening going on. DG, oh, big broad, but he brings that car back in line just in time. That was flat out through there. The idea with these cars when they do start getting broad in that back end is to not back off too much, just a little bit of throttle off, let the car slide. And then once she's straightened back up, put that throttle back on and continue on. Once you start fighting side to side with that wheel, these things just flip and spin and go every which direction. The DG does improve that time there. I think Gallen's pretty safe with 136.6. It's going to be hard to steal now at this stage. We had a fair bit of time variance in the first session. There's a lot tighter times so far. We saw a few seconds differences between our first 4 to 5, and now we're only seeing that up to our first 9. So drivers getting much more accustomed to these cars now in the second session. So I think through 20 laps around here, it's going to be very interesting indeed. John has just come across for his last one as well. Sunty will be wrapping up his final. And qualifying session is complete. And we have it, Gallen 350 getting pole and being able to keep it this time around with no grid place penalties. And I don't think there's any grid place penalties for anyone. So that is a very good session for qualifying. Also starting up the front is a Zero, followed by Demon Effects, Kakadu, Sunty, Jeffries, Drano, 7, Bertie, Strasbourg, DG, Simo Simsel, Sami, and Rocket Rod. And Disfigured Soul not being able to make it through. So 17 seconds separating the field, but it is a much tighter gap throughout the field entirely this time round, so it should be a very interesting race indeed. Now, preparing for 20 laps. Drivers have a couple of minutes to get their cars ready for this race. So we saw Gallen and a Zero run about 10 litres of fuel for that first race, and I think a Zero backed off a fair bit. As you can see, Zero hasn't loaded up his fuel, or he's going to use fuel as part of his strategy. Make our way through to some running the full loads. So Kakadu's running very light, so it's obviously a qualifying one. It's 18 litres for Sunty. So drivers needing to ensure they get their setups all correct within that 2-minute countdown, hit that ready button, otherwise they see themselves disqualified and not starting the race. I'm not even focused on Gallen's car there, that's actually a Zero's, but it's a very odd spot for this trackside camera for turn 1. If you're joining us for the stream, don't be shy, jump in on the chat, use some of those sound effects down below. You can do various good sound effects for accidents and cheers and applauses or boos as you like to suit as to what's going on. And be sure to say hello and let us know who you think's going to claim victory here, where we see a Zero take another win here. I think we may see Gallen get off to a good start here if he can get that same start as he did in the first race. Anyway, and it's a delayed start for Gallen, so we've had Demon Effects get right up on his tail, but a Zero also got away off to a slower start, so Demon Effects now slips up into second position and then tucks in, and it looks pretty clean at the back, in the midfield. These first few cars getting in, a couple too wide. Oh, we've just had who's gone off there, who's in the green car. I think that That was a zero. He's recovered that car back on, so he's gone for a slide and then brought the car back in just in time. That's allowed Santi to move up into 4th position. A little bit of a swap and change. So Kakadu has slipped back into 5th. I think that's because he had to try and avoid the incident of what was going on. So Demon Effects now up in 2nd position. Gallon quickly starting to get away. There's a 1 second lead. He's going to have to try and push that lead to about probably 2 seconds so he can try and break that slipstream advantage from Demon Effects. So at the moment, Kakadu is having a good advantage on slipstream as he's got Santi and a zero just up ahead of him. So yes, and now he's just slipped up ahead. Oh, Demon Effects has made a mistake, so he slipped down to 5th position. Kakadu and Santi and a zero now moving up. Santi up in the first 3, but he has Kakadu quickly closing in on him. Very different line. Looked like Kakadu was going for an inside line on that last turn. Is he going to make a move here? I think he's going to go for an inside pass on turn 1. This could be disastrous. He's going to be at a much faster speed than expected. That's going to push him out. No, not too wide. But Santi really held that line and was holding some very good pace still. Oh, that is so close between these two. They were nearly rubbing. Santi's nose cone was right up on that rear. Oh, Kakadu makes a mistake, so Santi gets to shoot through. Kakadu seeming to correct that car a couple of times. I'm not sure if there's some damage going on with his car. I'm not sure. He's quickly catching back up onto Santi and he's going for a pass here now for an inside line. As he comes into sector 3. Nice line. Gets around for a brilliant inside pass, but then Santi's done the switch back and he's crossed back in. This is brilliant driving between these two. Kakadu is giving us a show with Gallon 350 in the first race, and now it's him and Santi. Demon Effects getting a little bit broad just in behind there. Oh, I think a little bit lag going on there. Yes, that was lag. I'm not sure if it was shown on the broadcast, but my screen, that was a big lag spike. We had some issues with Santi, I think, in the practice. I'm not sure if it was the game servers or Santi, but he did jump back and forth a few times trying to get in. I don't think it was his car that spiked, though. It was Kakadu's. Santi would have saw Kakadu go all over the shop. For them taking it cautious. Oh, and we can get a shot. Thanks, cameraman. Nice broad slide into turn 2 from Demon Effects. Now got his sights on Kakadu. Yeah, Weaver, I think Gal may be turning around that result. That grid place penalty, I think, really cost him. See, him and Azuro both have that same pace, and it's all about getting well ahead in these cars. If you can get ahead and make no mistakes, you're not going to have anyone catch up on you, as there's no slipstream advantage. So once he gets that lead out to about 2.5 seconds, Azuro is going to be really struggling to catch up, unless he can actually really improve his lap times or Gallon makes mistakes. And he's brought that lead out to 2.2 now. So he'll jump on board with Azuro. So you can see him trying to chase down and get that advantage. You should sort of see him top out to about 180 here. So Gallon at that 2.3 mark now. A little bit of drop as he goes into turn 2. You should see see differences in sector times. It could be a big advantage, but he's closing in a fair bit. We'll see just what the difference in fuel loads here is. Now just on par with fuel. As pitting here will be critical to ensuring your position finished. As to when you decide to pit in, just how those tyres are doing will be all crucial. Oh, Kakadu's made a mistake. That's allowed Demon Effects to get right hot in. Sunty's not too far behind these. Oh, Kaka's gone off. He's making a hit. Big broad slide. Sunty narrowly avoids it. Brings that car back on track for a reset. It's allowed Sunty to start having another shot at third position. Demon Effects now feeling some big pressure from Sunty. Oh, some lag skips going on. Demon's car jolting about a bit. Trying to see just what my other screen is doing, seeing if I'm seeing the same lag skips. Sunty is doing really well here. We had a fantastic qualifying session and a great start in this race. We're 5 laps in already. This has gone pretty quick. There's been some good fierce driving amongst these drivers. Have a look and just see how Sunty's comparing in time. So he's set at 1:39.241 last lap, and then Demon Effects 1:39.363, and he's also got the a fastest best time compared to Demon Effects. So Demon Effects is probably going to be in trouble here. Sunty's got some pace over him by 0.1 of a second on those laps. Oh, up on the bumps. Both of them making a mistake, one on the outside, one on the inside, so it keeps them still peg to peg. Bit of dirt going off. Oh, and that's made Demon Effects go off. He's hit the wall. Sunty's moved back up into third position. Sunty really playing for the big boys tonight. He is absolutely flying in this Formula Rookie. Some serious racing going on from Sunty. This is some brilliant driving. Well done on getting back up into third position. He's got 7 seconds to try and catch up on Azuro. Azuro is still sitting around that 2-second mark from Gallon 350. A little bit of catching up to do. The Gallon needs to try and further that lead a little bit more. Simo Simsel's moved up into 5th position. He's got a time penalty as well. He's just passed Gina. I think there was a tiny slip from Gina costing him to lose that position to Simo. Simo does have a time penalty though. Some cars in the pits. Demon Effects in the pits. Strasbourg also in the pits. If they can utilise that as their mandatory pit and can last the remaining 14 laps, it shouldn't be too much of a disadvantage to them. While there's a little bit of space between here, we'll see what time penalty. So Simo has a 1 second time penalty. Yeah, we're even a few resets hit tonight. It is something that we will be implementing this year, that resets will be a penalty as well. So this series will be the last to allow. It wasn't looked upon, but it is something we want to try and make this as realistic as possible. So you run off, you get that car back on by driving it back on. Sunty heading into the pits, not sure what's going on. Tyre change. Maybe some repairs going on. sure what's going on. I don't think he's got damage. It was a very quick stop. This may be part of a strategy for Santi, potentially. Pit in early and then just flog at it. We'll see just what sort of fuel load he's running now, actually. He's got enough fuel to get through for the remainder of the race. If those tyres can do him out and he can just peg down these laps, he could potentially move up a position on for a shot at a higher spot on the podium. Would be very good for Santi. Jana and Simo Simsel at the moment competing for 4th position. You can see Jana make an error, seeing Simo be able to reclaim a position from him. He is going to be having another go at getting back that position. Oh, that's very tight. That slipstream really working to his advantage at this stage. Well, that's going to put him out a little bit wide, but it's a good exit speed. Oh, nice inside pass. He's done a brilliant line. That's going to bring him back out. That is a wonderful pass by Jana. And gets away very quick. Look at the space he's now put over Simo. That was a brilliant line. Perfect pass. Sami going for an outside pass. He's crossing in a little bit. There's a couple of line changes going on. Simo recedes and allows Sami to take that line. It's a risky line to go too wide down off the first turn. Oh, a little bit of slip from Sami. He doesn't want to cost that position by a mistake. He was coming through that corner very quick. That rear wanted to go out a fair bit as he was bringing that car in. And now Sami has his sights set on Jana. I think he could quickly catch up within enough distance to get some good speed advantage on him. And use the same tactics that Jana used to get past Simo just before. Not the same pace through those bends as Jana was. Oh, he almost goes out wide, brings the car back in. Oh, Jana goes off. Cost him a little bit of time. A good couple of corners here from Sami. Could see him making a passing move very soon. We have Gallen now headed into the pits. So he's now dropping a few positions back. I'm not sure if he's getting a fuel top up. No, just a tyre change. Zero leading the race at this point. Big difference in time by our race leaders. So there's 26 seconds currently separating Zero and Bertie. And we've had Santi already pit. Gallen's now pit. So that's seeing Gallen drop down into 7th position. So he's tucked in behind Santi. As I was mentioning before, that early pit strategy could see him potentially take up another position. He's now at 14 seconds ahead of Gallen. If Santi does not need to pit again, once the other cars have all pit, that will see Santi sitting in 2nd position. We need Zero to pit yet. Bertie, Jana, Sami and Simo all do need to pit. Bertie flying along down into turn 1. slightly inner line as he's gone down through. Not sure if Birdie's decided to start driving with a wheel for the PS4 yet. May still be doing it all from the controller. Sami currently sitting in third. Oh, he's gone off and made huge contact with that tyre wall. It was a pretty even hit between the two tyres. I think that may be okay. If there had been most of the brunt taken on just onto one of those tyres, it could have been detrimental. Mechanical failures are turned off on this, so they won't lose a wheel. It'll just be very significant damage where it won't steer very well at all, and they will have to limp it into the pits. Otherwise, lose a wheel in these things, and basically you can't usually even get the car back into the pits, so that can end your race. Simo currently sitting in 6th position, and he's closing in on Santi. Santi's driving so far in his position. He's really starting to get away on Gallen at the moment. Santi's doing some superb driving tonight. If he keeps up this, he's definitely going to be finishing on podium. Just depending on how a zero goes in the way of pitting. Could technically come through. I think Gallen just had a slightly longer pit stop. We saw Santi pit quite early, and then Gallen went in for his pit, but then came out behind Santi, so I was expecting him to potentially come out in front. Simo will need to pit. Gallen will reclaim a position there. Same as Sami and Gina. On that rev limiter coming into the corner. Lap 12, I think a zero is going to potentially look at a very late pit. 8 laps remaining. I think he should be fine for fuel. Oh, we've just lost someone on the field. Had a disconnect. I think we've lost Gallen. Gallen has disconnected. Down the 12 cars on the field. I'm waiting just to see when these race leaders at the moment are going to decide to pit. Some very bad luck for Gal. He just sent me a message. Still, Gallen has sent me a message saying he got disconnected. A technical issue going on for him there. That's very unlucky for Gal. It would have definitely been a podium for him. And the zero leads by 31.5 seconds. I think we're seeing about 25 seconds for a pit. Sami heading into his pits now. We'll just see what the difference is between lap times. Tyre change. Let's see. I'll put the graphic shot. Oh, I don't think it was a tyre change. I think I was just a very quick stop and go for Sami. Santi's claimed another position. He moves up. Oh, very wide. That could have cost him. He brings it in time. That's where we just saw a big accident before. Kakadu's sitting midfield this time. After he was giving us a good battle between him and Santi just earlier on. So Gina's up in third position. Oh, he's lost control of this car. This could be disastrous, and I think Sami's coming. Oh no, that is Jeffries up ahead. He's brought the car back under control just in time, but that's going to allow Jeffries to be able to catch up. I think Jeffries is behind. He's a lap back. So Jeffries is currently sitting lap 11. So he's 2 laps down. Him and DG are currently 2 laps down in the race. Oh, and who is that? I think that is... That may have been Rocket... No, Rocket Rod's in the blue car. I'm not sure who's in the red and blue. That's DG's car, I think it was. That was just off track. Some big spacing here between all the cars. He's going to bring that car up in time so he doesn't cop a penalty for speed in the pits. 6 laps remain. We need to see Azuro, Bertie and Gina all pit. That's unfortunate for... Oh no, Santi's had to re-pit again, so I'm not sure what was going on. That's definitely going to cost him. I don't think he would have had enough fuel to last out somehow. Alright, that's tyre change. Oh, he's got a bit of damage to that front of that car. So that's potentially cost him a shot at the podium here. Timo's now heading for his mandatory pit, same with DG. We do need Azuro and Bertie to head in for a pit. Sami has pit. He's a minute 8 behind the race leader at the moment. That's not going to see him be able to take on a spot for the race lead. But Azuro's definitely got some time over Bertie and Gina, so I think Azuro is pretty safe at this stage. It was up to Santi before, still in the pits. He's taken some damage. He's getting some repairs made, so that's cost him a shot at the podium tonight. He's doing so well. That's unfortunate for Santi. He's still in that pit, so it's a very lengthy pit. That's cost him many positions now. Potentially allow some catch-ups for our lap cars. Jeffries and DJ at the moment a lap back. I'm not sure, he's just ahead of Jeffries. I think that is Gina. So, lap car still putting some pressure onto our race leaders. 5 laps remain. Not sure what Azuro's strategy is. He could get in for a pit at any stage now. He's also going to be wanting to keep an eye on getting around any lapped cars as well. If he starts noticing there's a fair bit of traffic up ahead, it's potentially a good opportunity to get in, serve your pit, let them get back ahead, and then get back out on track and not have to contend with having to get around any slower traffic on track. Got some fair spacing going on now. There's about 10 seconds between Bertie and Gina at this stage. Gina still has Jeffries sitting right hot on his tail, and Jeffries slides that car down into turn one. That was a brilliant turn. We have Strasbourg honing in on Simo Simsel. I think he can potentially catch him here quite quickly. Quickly closing in. A fair bit of debris coming onto these last turns. That's the second last turn. See what line he gets here. Oh, very late line. He brings the car just back online. It's quite easy to run off wide on that last turn. Let's see if he can catch up to him down into turn one. Oh, turning a little early, but then it's a big broad slide by Simo. That's cost him some time. That's going to see him take an outside pass. No, not enough. He's going to have to try and hunt him down a little bit more, but he is forcing an error nice and wide out onto that curb. Becomes quite a bumpy ride out over that curb, but that isn't actually exceeding track limits. That is part of the track. And Gallon has joined us for the stream. Yeah, that is some bad luck, Gal, disconnecting at that stage. I thought you were going to turn things around and actually take the win this time around. You're screaming ahead at that start. You're starting to put that distance on a zero. And bring up the time. Just see what the fastest lap is at the moment. 1:36.784 set by a zero. Only a couple of time penalties. Simo Simsel and Jeffries is taking a 2-second penalty. Bertie's closing in on Gina. It's lap 18. A zero. Gina and Bertie have not pit. Looks like a bit of debris on the track. I'm not sure what it is, whether it's a back cow that was on the side of the track. Bertie, oh, who's gone off? I think that's Kakadoo's car. Yeah, that was Kakadoo. Bertie's honing in on Gina now. Gets around on the outside as Gina peels off into the pits. He needs a nice quick pit stop here. He can try and keep a shot at the podium. Oh, someone's just gone off just ahead. I think that was Kakadoo again. Yep, Kak is struggling with his car at the moment. Not going to be impressed with himself. That's 2 spin-offs in that lap. And the zeros is going to have to decide where he pits now. He's going to be pitting on the last lap. And a cheer from the crowd as the zero goes past pit straight. Nice line down into turn one. He's really pushing this car at the moment. Bertie needs the pit. He's 46 seconds behind the race leader. Significant incident would have to occur for him to be able to catch up on a zero at this stage. Sami should be able to possibly take a position away from Bertie. Giddo. Thanks for joining us in the stream and for cheering on our drivers. The Bertie is in the pits now. Let's see where Sami is, depending on what Bertie's getting done. If it's quick stop and go, I don't think it's enough. When he's away, he's getting out. Oh, it's not going to be enough time to get out in time. Sami's now claimed a position. Sami's also served his mandatory pit. This was Sami now in for second position. It's not going to be enough to be able to take away the race win. Azuri needs to peel off into the pits now. He's got plenty of time up his sleeve. Into the pits he goes. There's his crew. As long as he makes a successful pit here. Keeps the traffic going past. Oh, bit of rubbing. There was some wheel push there from Bertie and Gina. They're now side by side. This is tight. Bertie slip spin behind Gina. Not sure who that is in the yellow car just behind. I think that may be Santi potentially. Yes, it is Santi. He's back in lap 10, so he's actually some laps down. He was performing very well until he had to make that second pit, and it looked like he was sporting some damage. Can Bertie get a pass around Gina on the last lap? I think that's DG that's just gone off track. He's re-entering the field now. Gets in nice and clean in behind these three. Santi's keeping it up peg for peg with these guys. He was up for some brilliant race pace tonight. Gina's starting to get away on Bertie. Can that be caught up here? Oh, and a lot of bounce going on that turn one. It's very bouncy going on there. Santi's gotten broad just behind him as well. I think Bertie may have a crack at him in these next two turns. Oh, here we go. An inside line pass here. He's done it. Tucks back in just in time, but come out very wide. Recovers just in time. He's going to have a good, nice amount of speed coming up this hill. However, Gina's going to have a good amount of slipstream coming up. He's looking for an inside line. Bertie moves over to block, but then has to go back over to the outside for the exit. This is tight between these two here. They're going to be doing a switchback here, side by side. Outside wheels off track. They are not giving any room, but Bertie's going to have a nice line. He's got to get back over a little bit further to get a good fast line. And he gets away here. We saw Gina do some brilliant turns in these through the other laps. And Azuro's just crossed the line for the win. We need to see if we can get a quick position change for a spot on the podium between Bertie and Gina. Sami's crossing the line for a second place. Congratulations to Sami. Oh, is he going to get it? Oh, they're going to be side by side for the finish. Will it be a photo finish between these two for third position? Bertie just takes it in. No, Gina's stolen. He's taken third position. A near photo finish. Bertie takes fourth position. Demon Effects coming up to finish the last lap. 80 seconds remain to get across the line. That was some fantastic last lap driving done by Gina and Bertie, and Gina stealing a podium spot right on the finish line. Demon Effects comes up into fifth position. Well done to Demon Effects. Kakadu comes through in sixth position. That's after a couple of spin outs in the last couple of laps as well. So he's managed to recover quite well. Strasbourg rounding up in seventh position. Rocket Rod coming up in eighth. after a not-so-strong finish in the first race, coming in a good midfield position. So coming in 8th position. 30 seconds, yes, he's going to finish up his last lap here. Crosses the line, 8th position, well done, Rocket Rod. Simo Sims all just gone off track. Knows he's not going to get across the line in time, so he's having some fun with that car. Unfortunate for Santi as well, he was up in that top 3, he had a spot at the podium. Some unfortunate incidents going on for him. And there we have it. Opening round for the Apex Esports League Formula Rookie Cup has concluded, and we have a 0 with a double win for the first opening round. Unfortunate for Gallon 350 being disconnected. We should have probably had that race in the bag from the performance we saw at the start of the race. So that disconnect costing him the spot at the top for that race. So also on the podium is Sami taking 2nd position and John07 in 3rd position. Being taken just right at the finish line, stealing it away from Bertie, who's finished in 4th, followed by Demon Effects, Kakadu, Strasbourg, Rocket Rod, Simo Simsel, Santi, Jeffries and DG0787, and Disfigured Soul not making it through into the 2nd session for tonight. So that concludes it for the opening round of the series. And next week, same time, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time, we have round 2, and we are at the Nürburgring GP. So thanks for joining us for the opening round and the first race for 2021, and it's off to a very good start, some very fierce racing throughout the field. So it's going to be a very exciting series and a very exciting year. So be sure to stay tuned and hit that follow button so you know when we go live for next round, and then be sure to check out our social media links so you can see results and standings for the championship, what incident reports, and if you want to get involved in our racing, you can also then jump over into our Facebook group and find out, or check out our Android app as well. All details are in there, so we're more than welcome to have some more newcomers. Our debuts tonight, there were several, and they have performed wonderful, so hopefully we see all our drivers again next week. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week.